The right hand side valance has now been repaired. I've taken most of the dents and ripples out, and I've had to refold the metal where it was rather warped out of shape. It's not too bad now. There's a few creases in the metal. They're not as bad as they look on the reflections there. That's just where I've been across with a sanding disc. But there are some minor ones I've got to take out, but they're not too bad. A little bit of very thin filler will take care of most of that. The next piece I have to do, of course, is the air duct on the other side. So I'm waiting till I do that before I finalise anything on the actual valance itself. But in terms of the welding repairs that have been done, they've fitted in quite nicely, and the shape is quite close to what it should be. The air duct flange from there to about there has to be replaced. There's very little of it left. Was basically rusted out, so I'll cut that off. I'll probably cut it back a little bit into that and replace it right back to the corner there. The other piece that needs repairing is a section out of here. Now the flange is okay in this case, but there are holes in the duct itself. I've just poked them through with a scribe, so they're mainly around this area. So I've got to cut a section out of that and weld a patch in that. So that's the immediate repair. So I'll start on that, and when I do it, I've got to watch the shape of the flange and match that up with the shape of the panel over there. So that's why I haven't worried too much about the final finishes, because I've actually got to make sure this fits on, and I'm about 99% certain that's the right shape. It does fit what's left of this flange, so I'll just see what happens when I replace this and replace that section as to whether there are any alterations to be made. I'm just fitting up the repair sections for the air duct. I've decided to make this in two pieces, the flange at the top and then the main body of the repair in the duct itself. So I've just cut the broad sections. That one's almost fitted. Now I need to fit this section, and I'll weld this in first, and then after that's done, then weld the flange on even across the top of the repair here. So that should take a reasonable amount of time to do, but it's covered all of the rust sections. There might be a couple of other bits that I've got to repair on the flange itself, particularly up in here. I may decide just to replace the end piece. I'm not too sure yet, but I'll wait till I get these in, fit it onto the rest of the panel and see how things line up. Already made one repair in here. That weld hasn't been finished, but it's complete, and I've just tacked this new flange in, so I'm about ready to TIG that, and I've got a little bit of flange work to do in there, so I'm getting close to finishing the major rust repairs to this. There's still another repair to do, a split in the panel, which I'll show when I'm about ready to start it, but at this stage I'll continue with this, finish this off and then clean up the welds. The new flanges are now complete. Just added this one in on the end, so it's quite a section I had to replace, but it's all good now. I'll be able to use the existing flanges on the rest of it, so that's not a problem. The area I'm now looking at, it's this bit here where the whole duct is actually split. Now I understand this is a fairly common problem, and it's, in a sense, it's a stress fracture. So the crack actually goes back to there, along there, and it's of course split open here. So what I'll do is I'll TIG weld this back into place, and then I intend to put a bead of extra metal on the other side. Now I'll just TIG this first, and then I'll explain what I'm going to do on the other side. Now it's not my idea to do that, it's one I've seen that Chuck at Monocoque Metalworks uses, and it's to reinforce this area. So he suggests using a thick bead of weld. So anyway, I'll TIG this first, get it all back to where it should be, and then look at the reinforcement of it. Now, I've just been pulling this split back into alignment. It's not quite there yet, it's springing up a bit here. I'll just put a few tacks in here. I'll continue that along to the edge there where it changes direction, and that will hold it. And then I've got to actually do a bit more hammer work on this to get it flat, but once I've got that down, that will make it a bit easier. So it's just a bit tricky to get it back to where it should be. Finished welding up the crack. Also found another small one over there, so I've welded that up, and I've put a very thick load of MIG weld in there to reinforce the corner, so there's no way that will crack. So now this air duct is complete in terms of its rust repairs. I just now need to fit it onto the actual valance itself. So there's probably a few adjustments to make when I try and fit this on. What I'm going to do now is to fit the duct to the valance with Tech screws. I will have to make some adjustments, I've got no doubt of that. One, because there could be a bit of spread in the duct. It's probably spread open a bit once I've taken it off the panel, and also since I've put new flanges on. So I've actually got to look at fitting it mainly around this area, and this is where I've done the repairs, both to the duct and to the valance. Now as a guide to where this duct welds onto the valance, I already have the evidence of the spot welds on this part of the panel, so I can line up the drill holes with those, and that will give me a feed-in as to where this flange goes along here. Now, as I say, I am going to have to make some adjustment to get this around this area. Now I know it goes over this captive plate here. As for these, I need to look at whether I've actually got to lift the flanges here to put them slightly over these. I don't believe they go fully over, but they will at least go up to the edge. If not, perhaps I may need to lift these edges here to get them over that, so I can get this in the right position. Anyway, bit of work to do yet, but it is getting closer to me be able to say I'm basically ready to lock this up with screws and use it in the fitting process when I start to fit these panels together as part of the bonnet assembly. The repairs of the right hand side have now been completed. I've tech screwed the air duct onto the valance itself. I haven't welded it at this stage, and I don't intend to do that until such time as I start to assemble the bonnet assembly to make sure everything's in the right place. I have actually checked that the headlight diaphragm cover bolts on there, everything aligns there. I've done that already, so I know that's properly aligned, but I want to wait until I get it actually mounted onto the bonnet to make sure everything's where it should be. The screw plates at the back there, I actually had to remove the ones that I'd welded on the back here. Where is it? There, and also this one in here. I had to remove those just so I could get the right cutouts on the flanges so I could fit them properly. So I've now done that. I'll wait until I've done a few more things and I'll re-weld those, so they're fine. But as I said, it's come up well. The rust repairs have gone in well. The only challenge now is to see if I can do the same thing on the left hand side of the vehicle. That's the one I'm about to start now. I've got to start with drilling all of these welds out. So anyway, it's taken a while to do this. It's a bit of an awkward shape to deal with. Not just flat panels, rounded panels, angled panels at different angles here. And of course with this side I didn't have much of that left. It had been bent out of recognition. So anyway, it's done at this stage, but certainly not fully complete. This is the left hand inner valance and air duct. Rust around here, that all needs repairing. Same as on the other side, but the rest of it is not too bad. I need to clean it off, of course, and get the rust out, surface rust, and check whether there are any sort of thin areas. I won't know that until, of course, it's cleaned off. But this stage is looking a lot straighter. I will take the air duct off, so there'll be a lot of drilling to do. I imagine I'm going to have to do some rust repairs along the actual valance itself, the same as the other side was. So there'll be a section I'll have to cut out of there. And there may also be some flange work to do on the air duct. But anyway, it's early days, needs to be cleaned off first. Duct. I'm about to pull the duct off the valance. Reason, similar repairs to the other side. I've got issues to address here with rust, and I have issues to address along the section here. It's about the same area as it was on the other side. This is obviously a much longer duct, but I have rust in the valance there. Just put this back down. There might be a few small areas where the flange on the duct is gone, but I won't know that until I get it off. Obviously it's a lot of work to get this thing off, but the advantage is, for me anyway, that I can get all the rust, surface rust inside and remove all of that. Otherwise I'd have to send this away to be dipped. So anyway, it gives me the opportunity to get inside, clean things up and check the flanges, because I'm sure there's a bit more rust on the flanges than is evident at the moment. But anyway, a lot of drilling about to occur, and then I'll start to clean the panels up and assess the final damage. There is a little bit of panel work to do on this part of the valance, the same as the other side. Not much on the rear, mainly in around here, so not as bad as the other side, so I should be able to do that.